Hey guys, I hope you're doing well. Welcome back to another week. So, last week we really did a lot of introductory stuff and just really piecing through what this class is and what we're going to be doing this semester. So, this is a big week. This week we are really diving into not only the purpose of research and sound research and critical thinking and what all that looks like, but we are going to be jumping into our first essay. And we're going to talk a little bit about that more at the end of this lecture. But here's what I want to prep you. So, if you think about the writing process, what we talked about last week, there is this planning portion, okay? And then after we plan and we outline, we draft, and then we revise and edit and we publish. So in research writing, the planning portion is what we call an annotated bibliography. And that is when we gather research, we're gathering sources, we're reading them critically, and we're seeing if they fit into our ideas and what we want to write about for our paper. So, I want you to keep that in mind as we are discussing this idea of critical thinking and as we look at examples and really what we're going to be jumping into as a class. So, why research? What is the purpose? A lot of you probably have seen the fruitfulness of research and you understand the importance and the validity. But some people are like, I have my own opinions, I form my own ideas. I don't need to seek anything else. And it's a very skewed way of thinking. And so we have to pause and ask this question: what is critical thinking and why is it so important? Um, and I love these two quotes. What is the hardest task in the world? To think, by Ralph Waldo Emerson. And then in all affairs, it's a healthy thing now and then to hang a question mark on the things you have long taken for granted. And guys, what these two philosophers and writers are saying is essentially we all come to this place in our life where we're thinking through things or we think that we have these absolute truths or this absolute knowledge. And we have to question those things and we have to ask ourselves, is this real? Is this valid? Is this based on something sound? And sometimes we come to the answer, yes, it is. And this is what I believe, and this is what makes sense, and this is true. But then there are times where we look at new information or we meet someone new and we have this understanding of maybe I need to question what I've thought. Maybe I need to take a second look at this. And what that is the practice of critical thinking and questioning how our minds work and questioning the surroundings that we have. When thinking about an issue, no matter how simple or controversial, we want to do it in a way that's fair to all parties and not just a snap judgment. Critical thinking means questioning not only the beliefs and assumptions of others, but also one's own beliefs and assumptions. When developing an argument, you ought to be identifying important problems, exploring relevant issues, and evaluating available evidence fairly, not merely collecting information to support a pre established conclusion. So, essentially, what this is saying is as you're beginning to think about writing with research and writing critically, you're not simply summarizing what's already been put out there. You're forming your own ideas and informing your own ideas. You're looking at what others are saying with a critical eye and how you can use those ideas to support your thinking. Because critical thinking requires engaging seriously with some difficult topics of which you may already have strong opinions, and topics that may elicit even powerful emotional responses, it's important to recognize the way in which your thinking could be compromised or even clouded. The following attitudes might impede or otherwise negatively affect your critical thinking in real life. So, these are some things that as you're checking your own brain and as you're reading things and you're having feelings about it, that you need to think of and ask yourself if this is happening to you. Oh, this topic is too controversial and I don't want to take part in it. This topic hits too close to home and I've had experience with it. The topic discussed angers or bores me. Everyone I know thinks roughly about the same thing I do about this topic. Others may judge me if I verbalize what I think about this topic. My opinion on this topic is X because it benefits me, my family, or my kind the most. My parents raised me to think X about this topic. One of my favorite celebrities believes X, so I agree. I know what I think, but my solutions are probably not realistic. You can't change a system. The answer is just common sense. Anyone who thinks differently lacks common sense. Guys, these are things that we hear said often, especially when we begin talking about political issues, which we'll be talking about later on in the term. But what I want you to do is when you catch your mind saying these things, when you catch your mind allowing these thoughts to cross, pause and acknowledge that and say, okay, even though this topic bores me, it may be more prevalent in someone else's life. Or, wow, if everyone around me thinks the same, should I take a moment to hear what else is out there if I'm only around people who think, believe, and act the same that I do? And these are real concerns and they're real emotions. But again, it's a great time to pause and question, how is that affecting my ability to think critically about something? So, how do you know if you're finding accurate research? Once you've decided, yes, I'm going to engage in this critical thinking, yes, I'm going to think outside the box, and I'm going to look more into this, how do you know if it's accurate? Consulting sources is something you'll do throughout your research project and really projects. With so much information coming at you 24/7, this can be a daunting task and one that may be made more manageable by thinking of different kinds of sources available to you. Sources may include data from interviews and surveys, books and articles in print and online, websites, film, podcasts, video, images, and more. Consider these important differences among your sources. This week, what we're really going to be doing is, now that we've talked about critical thinking and we've really acknowledged how difficult that may be in some capacities, we are going to first introduce your paper topic for your first essay. But then the second thing we're going to do is we're going to watch a deep dive into our online Gaston library. And Calvin Craig is going to walk us through some different things that you have access to as a student, ways to find sources that are relevant to you in your research project. And we're really going to talk about what makes good research. After you've watched this lecture, it's really important that you go to your e-text and you read pages 128 through 151. Page 471 will be critical to your success when you're starting to format and check your sources. So again, those are not things that you have to consume perfectly, but it will definitely benefit you as we continue navigating our first research project together this week.